Welcome to Spark It Up Sports, your one-stop shop for everything football. Yesterday was the start of the NFL Combine. We had the defensive line, linebackers, and the edge rushers go. It was awesome to see all the players out on the field, all the top college players that are round up and they're doing their drills. Who was the top performer for you yesterday, Johnny?
My favorite guy to watch was this Derek Harmon kid out of Oregon. Definitely rose his draft stock. 6'4", 313 pounds. Harmon showcased exceptional athleticism, excelling in movement drills, demonstrating versatility across the entire defensive line. Kid's a beast.
Kid's a beast. The D linemen are huge. They're all over 300 pounds. When I was playing football, they were 280. Now they're just absolutely massive. The notable player for me, the guy who I thought had the best day yesterday, is James Pierce out of Tennessee. He is an edge rusher, 6'5", 245 pounds, ran a 4.47 in the 40. He looked incredible in drills, the bag drills, super athletic, fluid motion. His 10-yard split is a 1.58, which is absolutely crazy for a man that size. So you know he can get off the ball, and that pressure is going to be tough for those tackles. So he's my biggest riser of the day, and I think he's going to come out and be a top pick after that.
Absolutely, especially the story for a little story for that guy coming out of the social media this past week. Apparently, he was at the draft a couple years ago when it was in Tennessee, and he was already preparing his draft stock since then. J.J. Watt tweeted out, "Get this guy in the NFL ASAP." A few years later, he's already one step away from the NFL.
That was the guy that ran like the 5.38.
Yeah.
That big old dude. He had like the second slowest time. He was looking good out there, though.
Hey,
and all the other drills, he was just slow in that 40. Yeah, for sure.
Those lateral drills, he crushed it.
All right, let's dive into these defensive tackles. We're going to go through the different drills, top five performers. The 40-yard dash, Ty Robinson out of Nebraska ran a 4.83. He was zooming out there. Up next was Jared Harrison Hunt, 4.86 out of SMU. Then we had Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, another 4.86, D-tackle out of Georgia. After that, we had Aeneas Peebles. He ran a 4.94 out of Virginia Tech. And then we had two guys tied with a 4.95, Darius Alexander, your riser for the day out of Toledo, and Derek Harmon, offensive tackle out of Oregon. He's a beast, going to be a first-rounder. Came in, hyped up, so he backed it up with what he did out there. All right, let's move on to the 10-yard split, which this is very important for the defensive line and how they get off the ball. A lot of the times they're not going more than 10 yards. And if they are, it's bad because it's a big play or the quarterback's scrambling. So the top 10-yard split was 1.69 seconds. It was Jared Harrison Hunt out of SMU. After that, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, D-tackle out of Georgia, 1.69. Then we had Ty Robinson, Nebraska, 1.71. Darius Alexander out of Toledo with a 1.72. And C.J. West, he was another top performer for your D-tackles. He out of Indiana with a 1.73. All those guys are flying off the ball.
Ty Robinson, of course, once again throwing his name up there. Top of the list. Another great number.
Right? Making a name for himself.
Hey, build your draft stock, kid.
He looked like a straightforward player. We saw him yesterday, kind of when he got into the other drills, was a little stiff in the hips, it looked like. But he's zoomed, bull
zooming
rush,
when you're running straight.
Yep. Yeah. Good to go. All right, after that, let's move on to the broad jump for these defensive tackles. Top performer, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins with a 10'4". That is so far. And this man has been in the top for all these drills. Ty Robinson followed him up with 9'11", barely under the 10-foot mark. And then we had Peyton Page out of Clemson, 9'8". First time we're hearing out of him, so this man can jump. And then we have Warren Brinson, D-tackle out of Georgia, 9'7". Georgia has a great defensive line, you can tell this year, because their players are all over this combine, even some of the guys that did not play. So,
Javari Ritzy rounding it out. Love that guy. North Carolina had a real impressive day.
Yeah, he did. All right, that's it for the D tackles, the different drills we're going to go through. There were some notable players that did not participate in the combine. They were Abdul Carter. He had the foot injury. We saw that come out the day before. They were supposed to run. Mason Graham, Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, Mike Green, Walter Nolan, and Kenneth Grant all did not perform. They were there but did not participate in the drills. Some of them were because of injuries, so we'll see if they're going to participate in their pro days or not.
Abdul Carter and Kenneth Grant both picked up injuries in the preparation for the combine. Abdul Carter announcing he has a stress fracture. Kenneth Grant coming out with a injury as well. So look for them to perform well in their pro day. Otherwise, their draft stock will be affected.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so some of the D tackles that were great performers yesterday were C.J. West, D tackle out of Indiana. He's 6'1", 316. He is on the shorter side. We did see the D tackles are not as tall as like the defensive ends or the edge rushers. So he was shorter. His 40 was not that good, but he had a 33-inch vertical, ran the 4.95 in the 40, so love seeing out of that. He definitely improved his draft stock with his performance out there.
Absolutely. As you were saying, that ideal defensive tackle, short, 6'1", 6'2", 310 pounds, nice, short, fat. It's ideal weight for them.
Short, fat, quick off the ball. They stay underneath the offensive lineman, hard to move. Maybe they could stop the tush push, but I doubt it. He just put bowling balls down there or something. I don't know. All right. One of the big dogs at D tackle out of Texas, Alfred Collins. He's actually 6'5", 332 pounds. This dude is an absolute house. But he looked great out there. He moved good in the drills, and that is a hard man to move if you go one-on-one with some of those smaller centers or if you're an undersized guard. So he had a great day. And I do like those big dogs sometimes. You just put them right in the middle, and you need 2-3 guys to move them out of there. I don't know if he's as like athletic as like a Jalen Carter, but his just absolute size and mass makes him a good pick, I think.
Absolutely. And he was definitely on the top 10 in all of these categories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's definitely one of the best tackles in the draft. All right, should we move on to the edge rushers?
Absolutely.
All right, some of the risers for me on this edge rusher was the Landon Jackson edge out of Arkansas, 6'6", 264 pounds, 40.5-inch vertical, so this dude can jump out of the gym. And then what else was it? He ran a 4.69 40. He is the bald guy with no hair anywhere. And if you saw the video of him coming out of high school, I sent it to you yesterday. This man's doing the bag drill, and it's like, he's big, so it's like you can work with him. And to see what he came out and did yesterday at the combine compared to what he did going into college is insane. The improvement is off the charts. He went to Arkansas, so obviously the coaches there knew what they're doing, and the strength coaches, because this dude looks like a beast out there.
Absolutely. Major improvement from what he was looking like in the high school video.
I think that's the favorite video I've seen. Is that video of him for sure.
Absolutely. Looking like Mr. Clean out there.
Oh, yeah. No hair anywhere.
No hair anywhere.
Who's a riser for you in the edge?
I love this. James Pierce Jr., kid out of Tennessee, recorded a 4.47 40-yard dash, showcased elite speed and agility. Definitely not the best numbers in certain drills, but definitely an athlete out there.
He was
definitely made a name for himself. Absolutely.
Yeah. He looked like the most athletic player out there yesterday. Even like the linebackers, he was just as athletic as them. One of the guys for me is Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Great combine person, has great numbers at the combine, super fast, jump out the gym. But the concern for me is his game tape. He only had 4.5 sacks last year. Looks kind of lost out there. So are they going to be able to bring him up to speed in the NFL? And will he be able to figure it out? Because athletically, size-wise, he has all the numbers, has all the ability. But can he put it together and become a great football player is the question. So he's got a bunch of question marks. He could go up high in the draft, or he could drop as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Shamar Stewart definitely looked like the most athletic guy out of all these edge rushers out there. So, to be honest, he definitely a top.
Right. Let's do the defensive end 40-yard dash. The top 5 players. Number 1, James Pierce. Talked about him a couple times with the 4.47. After that, we had Colin Oliver out of Oklahoma State with a 4.56, followed by Fadil Diggs out of Syracuse, 4.57. Then we were talking about Shamar Stewart, 4.59. Those guys are absolutely flying. And to wrap it up is Ja Joyner out of Minnesota running a 4.6. So all 5 of those, right? If you can get under that 4.5 though, the 4.4 just looks so much better on paper, and these guys, or James Pierce, is able to do that, and his name just pops. He's the first guy you noticed off the list just because he ran that 4.47. All right, let's move on to these linebackers. One of the risers for me at linebacker is Carson Schlesinger, linebacker out of UCLA, 6'2", 242. A lot of talent out of UCLA this year. They had a lot of good players out there. They did have the new coach, so maybe next year, if they can keep getting this talent back, they'll be able to perform a little better during the regular season. But he had a 39.5-inch vertical. He didn't finish the on-field drills because he pulled his hamstring, but he was flying out there before he got hurt. So look for him to be all right, and for when he gets to the pro day, he'll be able to do all the tests and get that figured out.
I had a kid out of UCLA too, Kane Medrano. Medrano recorded the fastest 40-yard dash amongst all linebackers, clocking in at 4.46. His fluid movements during these drills highlighted his potential value on special teams and as a versatile defensive asset. So another kid out of UCLA, good linebacker core this year.
Yeah, he was flying out there, like you said. All the drills, super athletic, great hips, able to turn, really fluid motion out there. Awesome to see. Notable player for me is Jihad Campbell out of Alabama. He was the top guy coming in at linebacker, and he went out there and showed it. He's 6'3", 235 pounds, super athletic. He can make almost every play out there. Ran a 4.52 40, absolutely flying, 10.7 broad jump. Awesome to see athlete, and he went out there and showed it, and he's right where we thought he would be.
Absolutely. He definitely looked like the quickest guy out of the group. Definitely an impressive guy out of Alabama.
Yeah, and when I'm watching the combine, the linebacker that they bring up the most at this combine, which I think every linebacker wants to be, is Fred Warner. They show the drills, they show how Fred Warner plays, and that is exactly what you're supposed to do on the field.
Absolutely.
I love Fred Warner too. Watching him play is unbelievable. But to me, like, whoever can do that drill and mirror Fred Warner the most is the guy I want out there. So,
absolutely, definitely one of the most athletic guys in the NFL. One of the guys that also stood out for me was this Eugene Asante out of Auburn, 4.48 40. Underscoring his quickness and potential as a dynamic linebacker. Great numbers for him. Small school Auburn.
Small school?
I mean, shitty school. They didn't play good this year.
Whatever, dude. You're
I'm right.
I think that's it. We could go over the linebackers, the top 5 in the 40, just to see what their speed is. We had Kane Medrano, like you said, 4.46, followed by Eugene Asante, 4.48. Those are the only 2 under the 4.5 for the linebackers, so they were zooming. Jihad Campbell, 4.52, and Danny Stutzman also tied that linebacker out of Oklahoma, and then Nick Martin with a 4.53 out of Oklahoma State. Jack Sawyer, did you see him out there? But he was out there with the edge rushers. I saw that, like, his arm length was super short, and I feel like, I know you laugh, but, like,
it's important.
There's like no players in history that have, like, had a great career with arms as short as his are. So I honestly think that is going to be of concern. He did have a great college career, but it's different in the NFL. So We'll see if it like actually happens because like Joe Burrow's small hands, look at him. So maybe he proves us wrong and he's an all-star out there.
Absolutely. A couple other talking points. Travis Hunter, his dual position ambition. Will he be playing wide receiver, cornerback? Everybody's projecting him as a every down cornerback. Will he still have the motor to be able to produce on offense? That's the question out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to play both. I don't think he needs to return any kicks out there.
Yeah, no question about that. There's definitely other athletes on the field that can do that. Save his energy. You're going to want him to be the number one. Put him out on an island. Defend that island.
And the receivers are going to be going on Saturday with the quarterbacks and the running backs. I'm sure he's not going to do any drills. Top guys aren't throwing. Today we have the defensive backs. For me, love the defensive backs. They're the most athletic players on the field. They're the fastest, most agile. Look for the best 40 time to either come out of these DBs or the wide receiver group tomorrow. So, looking forward to watching
some quick
them.
Guys. Oh, yeah.
And then we also have the tight ends today, which, as a Bears fan, I would love another tight end. We have Cole Kmet, but he has not produced as far as I'm concerned. And maybe with like Ben Johnson, he'll do better. But I love watching the tight ends. They're one of the positions in the NFL that I think has become unguardable for some of these guys who are tall enough, fast enough where the safeties can't cover them because they're too big, or the linebackers can't cover them because linebackers are too slow. So I love me some tight end position.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to see that Tyler Warren kid out of Penn State. Remember, he was one of the most athletic kids.
Yeah, I do want to see like how many drills he's going to do, if he's going to do any of them, but he's definitely the number one tight end in the draft, and he can block too, which is a huge deal.
Also, that Elijah Arroyo kid out of Miami, he was making big waves.
Oh, yeah, he had a really good Senior Bowl, maybe the top performer in the Senior Bowl. So, and I imagine he's probably going to do all the drills because he was not a first rounder going into the Senior Bowl, so he can really pop today and help his draft stock.
The other guy to keep an eye on is that Harold Fannin Jr., Bowling Green. Remember, he was huge.
Yeah. The MAC always has like 3 or 4 guys that come out that are really good every year. I feel like some first rounders. But he's been on that tight end list for a while to keep an eye on. So
yeah. Hey, couple of guys to keep an eye on.
Yeah. And one thing about the combine is I have not paid attention to it like I have this year, and it is awesome. There's just so much information about all these players, where they come from, and they have like all the highlights on the NFL Network and that. Absolutely loving diving into this and doing all the research on all these high school or on all these college players. So definitely looking forward to what's to come this weekend. And it's over Sunday with the offensive line is the last drill. So I'm thinking Monday we get back on and we cover the next 3 days of the drills.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we said with this class, the defensive lineman is the best class in the draft. So they got the most players that are going to be drafted high. So it was important that we got out here today and we're able to talk about those players and how they performed yesterday.
Absolutely. Could see multiple defensive players taken in this top 10.
Oh, like it might, except for the quarterbacks because they got to go, but it's going to be a lot of defensive players going. And as far as I'm concerned, the Bears have 2 picks in from 30 to 41. They have 2 picks. So go out there and get me an edge rusher and a defensive lineman. I want an offensive lineman with 10, and then go get me a D tackle and an edge rusher. And I think that could shore up a lot of things with those 3 picks in the top 40.
You still want an offensive tackle in the top 10, even knowing now that the class isn't that strong?
Yeah, because if you see like one person I thought we were going to get was Trey Smith out of the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are going to franchise tag him. So you heard a lot of things, like a lot of rumors the Bears might get him. So he's already off the table. So there goes our quick fix. We were talking about Campbell and the other guys, like how you start him out at tackle, but like Campbell, I think, can come in and start as a guard right away. He might not be able to like start a tackle right away, but he's good enough to start a guard right away, and he does that for the next 5 years, and shores up that guard position for us, I'm 100% okay with that.
Huh, interesting. I like that.
Because we have to shore up the offensive line. It has to be done. And Will Campbell can start day one. If not tackle, it will be guard. Because look at Darnell Wright. We took with a top 10 pick a couple of years ago, and he just became a starter this year. He didn't really play that much his first year. He's definitely growing into the position. But if you can get a guard right away, or like, I think that's the way to go. So, but that our low line is just so damn bad. So bad.
Hey, same way we can use a quarterback, you guys can use an offensive line.
Yeah, and this is the time we try and get all our needs taken care of. So,
Matt Stafford off the table, re-signing with the Rams. On to the next man on the list.
Yeah, it's got to be like Sam Darnold, right?
I think Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is the next target.
Kirk Cousins, maybe. If you don't have to pay Kirk Cousins, I would take him for sure.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that you have to draft a quarterback to shore up, just in case if Kirk can't.
I mean,
go.
I feel like that's your next step, anyways.
Yeah, Jackson Dart, bring him in.
I did see they met with him, so maybe that is an option.
I like the kid out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, he knows how to throw the ball. That's for sure.
Knows how to spin it.
All right, well, that's a wrap for this session. Spark It Up Sports Draft Series Combine. Let's go. We're about to watch some of these DBs, and then Monday we'll have another episode for you.
Absolutely.
Signing out. Go Bears.
Go Raiders.